Sarah Moore woke to her daughter's cries at 4 in the morning. Again, third night in a row without sleep. She rose from the sagging sofa in her one-room flat in Peckham and lifted the baby into her arms. Emily was only 6 months old, but to Sarah, it felt like a lifetime had passed since she'd learned she was pregnant. She was 22 years old. Too young, everyone said. Too soon. The baby's father disappeared the moment he saw those 2 lines on the test. Sarah's mum lived in Manchester and could barely make ends meet herself. Friends gradually faded away. They had parties, university, freedom. Sarah now had sleepless nights, bills to pay, and constant fear of doing everything wrong. She looked at her daughter. Emily had stopped crying and was staring up at her with huge brown eyes. So trusting. Sarah felt a lump rise in her throat. What if she was a terrible mother? What if she couldn't cope? Yesterday she forgot to give the vitamin D drops on time. The day before, she couldn't calm her daughter for 2 hours straight and just sat on the floor beside her and cried. She walked to the window. Outside, dawn was breaking grey over the rooftops of South London. Somewhere out there lived people who had it all figured out, who knew how to be parents, who didn't feel completely alone at 4 in the morning with a baby in their arms. On the table lay a business card. Family Nurse Jane had left it a week ago. Family Nurse Partnership, a support program for young mums. Jane had been visiting her home twice a month since Sarah was 4 months pregnant, calmly answering questions, teaching her how to bathe the baby, simply listening when Sarah needed to talk. Yesterday, Jane had called. "Sarah, there's a special meeting at Sunshine House on September 19th. The Duchess of Cambridge is coming. She wants to talk with mums from our program. Will you come?" Sarah had laughed then. The Duchess? Coming to see them? It seemed unreal. But Jane was serious. She's genuinely interested in early childhood. She wants to understand how to help mums like you. Think about it, okay? Sarah thought about it all night. Why would she need to meet royalty? What could a duchess offer a girl from Peckham who was trying to learn how to change nappies and not collapse from exhaustion? But something inside whispered, what if? What if there's something important there? Something that could help her feel less lost? Emily fell asleep on her shoulder. Sarah looked at the calendar. September 19th, the day after tomorrow. She picked up her phone and texted Jane, "I'll come." She didn't know then that this decision would change everything. That same morning, a few kilometers from Peckham, at Kensington Palace, Kate Middleton was reviewing materials about the Family Nurse Partnership Program. Before her lay statistics, reports, family stories. But what concerned her most were the faces of young women in the photographs. Just girls, really, with babies in their arms and fear in their eyes. Kate remembered well her first months of motherhood. She'd been older. She had William, an entire team of helpers, the best doctors in the country. And still she felt lost when George cried through the night, still doubted every decision she made. What must it be like for girls who have none of that? She closed the folder and looked out the window. Tomorrow she'd go to Suffolk, meet them, listen to their stories, and perhaps give them what she'd needed so desperately herself once, the understanding that they weren't alone. She thought about the program she'd been studying for months, early years, the first 1,000 days of a child's life. That's when everything takes shape, and that's when young mums need support most of all. Kate picked up the phone and called Ailsa Swarbrick, director of the FNP program. "I don't want to just visit and leave. I want to truly understand their lives." "Could I be present during a nurse's home visit? See how this works from the inside?" Ailsa was surprised, but agreed. Kate hung up and smiled. Tomorrow would be an important day. For her, and perhaps for those young women she would meet. The morning of September 19th, 2019, was warm for autumn. Sarah stood before the mirror, changing her top for the 5th time. Emily slept in the pram, ready for the journey. Jane was due to arrive in 20 minutes. Sarah was nervous. She didn't know how to act, what to say, whether she should dress a certain way. In the end, she chose simple jeans and a light sweater, the only decent thing in her modest wardrobe. On the way to Sunshine House Centre, Jane explained what would happen at the meeting. There'll be several other mums from the program. The Duchess wants to talk with you. Hear your stories. Understand how FNP helps you. What if I say something wrong? Sarah whispered. Jane turned to her and smiled. Sarah, just be yourself. That's all that's needed. When they arrived at the centre, other program participants were already gathering. Amina with 3-year-old Ramira, Chloe with 4-year-old Oliver, Michael with baby Logan. Everyone looked as anxious as Sarah felt. Centre staff bustled about, arranging chairs, checking everything one last time. Then they announced, "She's here." Kate Middleton spent that morning travelling, thinking about the upcoming meeting. She'd chosen dark trousers and a blue polka dot blouse for the visit. Nothing flashy, just elegant but approachable. Not royalty, but a mum of 3 children who wanted to talk with other mums. When the car stopped at Sunshine House, Kate paused for a moment, breathed deeply. Soon she'd walk in there and meet young women whose lives were so different from her own. But motherhood makes everyone equal. She believed that. Security opened the door. Kate stepped out and saw a small group of people waiting for her at the entrance. She smiled. Broadly, genuinely. Sarah stood in the back rows and couldn't look away. The Duchess was normal. Yes, beautiful. Yes, elegant. But there was nothing artificial in her smile. She looked at them, at the young mums with children, and in her eyes was something warm, understanding. Kate entered the room and her gaze immediately found the women with babies. They looked tense, frightened. One wrong move and they'd shut down completely. She approached first. "Hello, I'm Catherine, but please just call me Kate." The simplicity of those words broke the ice. Amina spoke first, told them about Ramira. Kate sat down beside the girl, chatted with her, asked about her favorite toy. Then she approached Chloe, listened to her story about her son Oliver, nodded, asked questions, and Sarah noticed these weren't perfunctory questions. Kate was truly listening, remembering details, asking follow-ups. Then the Duchess approached Sarah. Kate saw a young woman with a baby in a pram. She stood slightly apart, as if not daring to come closer. Exhaustion was written on her face, that same exhaustion Kate knew so well. "Hi," Kate said quietly. "What's your name?" "Sarah. And this is Emily. She's 6 months old. May I?" Kate nodded toward the pram. Sarah nodded, flustered. Kate leaned down to the baby. Emily wasn't sleeping, was looking at the stranger with huge eyes. "Hello, beautiful," Kate whispered. Her voice sounded so natural, not like a duchess talking to someone else's child, like a mum, just a mum. "What lovely eyes you have, just like your mum's." Sarah felt something tighten in her chest. When was the last time anyone had said something like that to her? When had anyone last noticed not just the baby but her too? "How are you managing?" Kate asked, straightening up. And that's when Sarah broke. Not into tears, just answered honestly. "It's hard, really hard. I don't know if I'm doing everything right. I'm constantly afraid that I'm a bad mother, that I can't cope." Kate looked at her, and in her gaze wasn't pity. It was understanding. "You know what I'll tell you? George is already 6, Charlotte's 4, Louis is almost 18 months, and I'm still afraid every single day of doing something wrong. Still feel lost. Motherhood doesn't get easier. The fears just change. Sarah raised her eyes. Could the Duchess of Cambridge, who has everything, really be telling her this? Telling her, Sarah from Peckham, that she's afraid too? But the most important thing, you're not alone, Kate continued. And the fact that you're here, in this program, that you're accepting help, that's not weakness. That's strength. That's love for your daughter. Kate touched Sarah's hand, gently, for just a moment. But it was enough. You're managing. Emily's happy. Look at her. Sarah looked. Her daughter was smiling, reaching her little hands toward her. Children sense everything, Kate said quietly. She knows you love her, and that's what matters most. Everything else will follow. Sarah nodded. Couldn't speak. Words stuck somewhere in her throat along with tears of gratitude. Then came the group meeting, a round table where Kate sat with everyone else. Not in the center, not in a special place, just in the circle. She listened to Program Director Ailsa Swarbrick, asked questions of the nurses, inquired about details, how visits happen, what support is needed most. But mostly she looked at the mums, at their faces. And Sarah saw the Duchess was remembering every word, every story. Before leaving, Kate approached Sarah again. You're doing brilliantly, she said. Truly, keep it up. And remember, you're not alone. Sarah watched her leave. Kate drove away, but something remained. Warmth, hope, the feeling that someone saw her, truly saw her. The following weeks passed as if in a fog, but now it was a different fog. Not the one from before, hopeless, suffocating, but somehow lighter. Sarah felt changes within herself. Jane came on schedule, once every 2 weeks. They bathed Emily together, talked about introducing solid foods, about managing colic. But now Sarah wasn't afraid to ask questions, wasn't ashamed of her lack of knowledge. She remembered Kate's words. Accepting help isn't weakness, it's strength. Somewhere at Kensington Palace, Kate couldn't forget that day. She'd attended so many visits, so many official events. But this meeting had lodged in her heart. The faces of young women, their stories, their struggles. She especially remembered Sarah, the young woman with tired eyes and a tiny daughter, who was so afraid she couldn't cope. Kate saw herself in her, only without support, without family nearby, without the ability to call the best specialists at any time. What must it be like for girls who have none of that? She called Ailsa Swarbrick. Tell me more about the program. How many families do you reach? What do they need most? They talked for an hour. Kate took notes. Asked about funding, about expanding the program, about how to draw more attention to this issue. You know what I remember most? Kate said at the end of the conversation. When one of the mums said she was afraid of being a bad mother. I felt that too, and still do sometimes. Motherhood is constant self-doubt. But when you're completely alone at 22, without family, without support, it must be unbearable. That's exactly why we're here, Ailsa replied. That's exactly why programs like this are needed. Kate hung up and thought. She wanted to do more, not just visit, chat, and leave. She wanted every young mum in Britain to know there's support, there's help, there are people who care. She began working on her early years program, convening experts, studying research, talking with doctors, psychologists, social workers. But at the heart of it all were the faces of those young women. Sarah, Amina, Chloe, who so desperately needed someone to simply tell them, "You're managing. You're doing well." One evening, Kate sat with William in the sitting room. The children were asleep. Rain drizzled outside the window. "You're still thinking about that meeting?" he asked. "Yes," Kate admitted. "I can't forget them. Will, they're so young and so lonely. You know, one young woman told me she was afraid of being a bad mother, and I realized I was afraid too. Still am sometimes, but I have you. I have family, I have everything. But them? William took her hand. You're doing the right thing. Keep going. Kate nodded. She would continue. Absolutely. Meanwhile, in Peckham, Sarah was putting Emily to bed. Her daughter had grown, smiled more often, had started recognizing Mum, reaching for her. Jane came regularly. She taught Sarah how to manage anxiety, explained that all mums experience the same fears, gave her contacts for other young mothers from the program. Now they sometimes met up, walked together with the children. Sarah no longer felt alone. She often remembered that September day. Kate's words, her touch on the hand, the look that held no judgment, only understanding. You're not alone, the Duchess had said then, and for the first time in many months, Sarah truly believed it. Several months passed. December arrived. Sarah received a message from Jane. Would you like to attend an event? The Duchess of Cambridge will announce a new early childhood initiative. There'll be mums from different programs. Your story matters. Sarah agreed without hesitation. The event took place in London. Small, intimate. Not a grand ceremony, but more of a working meeting. Kate wanted exactly that, for people to speak openly, share experiences, for the voices of those who truly need this to be heard. When Kate entered the hall, she immediately recognized several faces. Amina, Chloe, and Sarah. Their eyes met. Kate smiled, approached first. Sarah, how wonderful to see you again. How's Emily? Sarah hadn't expected the Duchess to remember her name, hadn't expected her to remember her daughter. Emily's 8 months now. She laughs now, trying to stand up. Everything's good. And how are you? Kate looked directly into her eyes. Not formally, genuinely. Better, Sarah answered honestly. Much better. After that meeting, I understood that I could ask for help, that it's okay. Jane helps me. I've met other mums. I'm not alone anymore. Kate listened. Every word settled in her heart. There it was. This was what it was all for. One young woman, one life. But it had changed, become brighter. Kate took her hands in hers. They were warm, soft. You have no idea how important what you just said is. Your story. That's what other women need to hear. Thousands of women who right now feel as lonely as you felt then. Sarah felt tears rising to her throat. I'm just a mum. An ordinary mum. Exactly. Kate squeezed her hands tighter. An ordinary mum, who fights, who loves her child, who does everything possible. And that makes you a hero. For Emily. For other mums who'll see that it's possible to manage. Kate released her hands but didn't look away. Today I'll announce a new program. We'll expand support for young families. More centers, more nurses, more help. Because every mum deserves to have someone tell her, you're managing, you're not alone. Like I told you then. Sarah couldn't hold back the tears. They flowed down her cheeks, but she didn't care. Kate hugged her, simply hugged her. Not like royalty embracing a subject, like one mum hugging another. Thank you, Sarah whispered. Thank you for seeing me, hearing me. No, Kate answered quietly. Thank you. For your courage, for your honesty, for helping me understand how important this work is. They stood like that for several moments. There were many other people in the hall, but in that moment, only the two of them existed. 2 mums, 2 women, with such different lives, but with the same fears, the same love for their children. When Kate spoke, she talked about numbers, about programs, about the necessity of investing in early years. But midway through her speech, she stopped, looked at Sarah. Recently, a young mum told me she was afraid of being a bad mother. She felt alone, lost. But thanks to the Family Nurse Partnership Program, she found support, found strength, and today she's here, a happy mum of a happy baby. And this right here, is the most important goal of all our work. Not statistics, but people, families, children. Sarah listened and cried. She hadn't known it was possible to be so proud of herself, to feel important, needed, seen. After the event, Kate approached her again. If you ever need help, if you want to share your story publicly to help others, let me know. Your voice matters. Please remember that. Sarah nodded. She would remember, absolutely. That evening, returning home, Kate sat in silence for a long time. William found her in the sitting room. How did it go? Perfectly, Kate replied. I met Sarah again. That young woman I told you about. She's changed, blossomed. And you know what she said? That after our meeting she understood. You can ask for help. That it's okay. Will, can you imagine? One conversation, a few words, and it changed her life. Because they were the right words, William said, at the right time, from the right person. Kate shook her head. No, because she was ready to hear them, because she was brave enough to come, to ask for help, to accept it. She looked at the photograph of George, Charlotte, and Louis on the mantelpiece. Every child deserves a happy childhood, and every mum deserves support. I'll continue this work until I reach every young woman in this country who feels alone and lost. This wasn't just a promise, it was a vow. 3 years passed. Emily turned 3.5. She ran around the playground in Peckham, laughing, playing with other children. Sarah sat on a bench watching her daughter. She barely recognized her former self. That young woman who woke at 4 in the morning with a baby in her arms, thinking she couldn't cope. The one who was afraid of being a bad mother. So much had changed in these years. Sarah completed online childcare courses, got a job at a nursery part-time, met other young mums from the FNP program. Now they were true friends. But most importantly, she'd learned to believe in herself. Jane stopped by sometimes, no longer as a nurse, but as a friend. They drank tea, chatted about life. Emily called her Aunt Jane. Do you remember that meeting with the Duchess? Jane asked once. Every day, Sarah admitted. You know, after that day I understood something important. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Motherhood makes everyone the same. We're all afraid. We all doubt ourselves. And we all need support. Jane smiled. She spoke about you, you know, after that December meeting. Said your story inspired her to continue working on the early years program. Sarah couldn't believe it. The Duchess remembered her, thought about her. Recently she'd seen a news report on television. Kate was opening a new young family support centre in Manchester, talking about the importance of the first years of life, about how every mum deserves help, that asking for support isn't weakness, but strength. Sarah listened and wiped away tears. These were her words, words that had changed her life back then, in September 2019. Emily ran up to her, breathless, with scraped knees and happy eyes. Mummy, look what I found. In her hand was a small yellow flower. Sarah took her daughter onto her lap, pulled her close. Beautiful, just like you. Mum, is it true you met a princess? Sarah laughed. Emily had recently started getting interested in princess stories. Not quite a princess, a duchess. And yes, it's true. Was she kind? Sarah thought. Remembered Kate's warm hands, her understanding gaze, words that healed invisible wounds. Yes, sweetheart, very kind. She told me something I needed to hear more than anything in the world, that I wasn't alone, and that I would manage. And did you manage? Emily asked seriously. Sarah hugged her daughter tighter. I did. because you're with me. And because I understood, you don't have to go through everything alone. At Kensington Palace, Kate sat in her study reviewing reports about the early years program. The numbers were impressive. In 3 years, the number of families receiving support through Family Nurse Partnership had grown by 40%. New centers had opened in 8 cities. Thousands of young mums had received help. But Kate wasn't thinking about numbers. She was thinking about faces, about Sarah, about other young women she'd met over these years. Each story was unique. Each was important. She opened the desk drawer and took out a photograph. That very meeting in Suffolk, September 2019. In the picture, she stood next to a group of young mums. Sarah was in the corner with the pram, looking straight at the camera, and in her eyes was so much hope. Kate ran her finger over the photograph. She wondered how Sarah was now, how her little Emily was doing. She picked up the phone and called Ailsa. "Could you find out about those mums I met 3 years ago? How are they now? Managing?" A week later came the answer. Sarah works at a nursery, raising her daughter, happy, helping other young mums by sharing her story. Kate smiled. There it was, the circle complete. The young woman who was once helped now helps others herself. That's exactly how it should work. That's exactly what she wanted to create, a chain of kindness, support, hope. That winter, Kate visited the centre in Suffolk again. Not an official visit. She just stopped by to see how everything had changed. She walked the corridors, talked with nurses, listened to new stories, and suddenly she heard a familiar voice. Sarah stood in the next room. She was telling her story to a new group of young mums about how she was afraid, how she felt alone, how she once met a woman who told her the right words at the right time. She told me, "You're not alone," and it changed everything. Because I understood, you can ask for help, you can accept support, and it doesn't make me weak. On the contrary. Kate stood in the doorway and listened. Her heart overflowed with pride and gratitude. Sarah hadn't just survived, she'd blossomed, and now she was giving her light to others. When Sarah finished speaking, she turned and saw Kate, froze for a moment, then smiled, broadly, happily. They approached each other, embraced, without saying a word. Sometimes words aren't needed. Sometimes presence is enough. Understanding, warmth. "Thank you," Sarah whispered, "for everything." "No," Kate replied. "Thank you for not giving up, for accepting help, for now helping others. You're proof that all of this works, that it has meaning." They talked a bit more, about life, about children, about how quickly time flies. Emily's in nursery now. George will start secondary school soon. Before leaving, Kate said, "Keep telling your story. Please, it's important. Every mum who's sitting in the dark right now thinking she can't cope needs to know. There's a way out. There's support. There's hope." Sarah nodded. She would continue. "Absolutely." That evening, Sarah sat at home with Emily. Her daughter was drawing. Sarah watched her and thought about what an incredible journey they'd traveled. From that desperate young woman with a baby in her arms to a happy mum who helps others. It all began with one meeting, with a few words, with a warm touch of the hand. "You're not alone." Those 3 words changed everything. Sarah picked up her phone and texted Jane, "Thank you for everything. I'll never forget how you helped me, and how she helped me see that I would manage." Somewhere at Kensington Palace, Kate looked out the window at nighttime London. Somewhere out there, in this huge city, live thousands of young mums. Some happy, some struggling, some feeling lost. But each day there are fewer of them. Each day, more women receive support, learn they're not alone, find strength to continue. Kate placed her hand on the glass. cold. But beyond it, the warm light of thousands of windows, thousands of homes, thousands of families, and in each, their own story, their own struggle, their own hope. She smiled. The work continues, and will continue, until every mum in this country knows you're not alone. You'll manage. We're here to help. This wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning. The beginning of something big, important, real. Sarah put Emily to bed and sat by the window. In her hands, a cup of tea. Outside the window, the lights of Peckham. She thought about the young woman she'd been 3 years ago, about the fear, the loneliness, the nights without sleep and days without hope. Then she thought about herself today, about work that brings joy, about a daughter growing up happy, about other mums she now helps. Everything changed, thanks to the program, thanks to Jane. Thanks to one meeting with a woman who saw in her not a problem, but a person. A mum, a hero. Sarah smiled and closed her eyes. Tomorrow would be another day. New challenges, new joys. But now she knows she'll manage, because she's not alone. Never was. She just needed to hear it. And now she tells others. Passes forward the warmth she once received herself. This story is based on real events that took place on September 19th, 2019, during Kate Middleton's visit to Family Nurse Partnership in Southwark, London. The name Sarah Moore has been changed to protect privacy. Some details have been supplemented with artistic fiction to create a complete narrative.